Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves a Scrap, and today I'm coming to you from down under with a May I Scrap Lift You layout for day 9. Today we are lifting Kirsten Foster, and she's known as Scrapping on the Fly on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is the layout that I've chosen to lift. It was a great layout to use up 6x6 papers, and as you can see it came together beautifully. So I went through my stash of 6x6 papers, and I have a load of those pads, and I found all the colours that would match my photo or would go nicely with that photo of my daughter and I up at Airlie Beach during our cruising last November. So this one here has got some little beach and cruising phrases on it that I'm going to use for my ephemera, and I'm going to use these 6x6 pads of paper, and I'm going to use them to create the triangular borders that Kirsten made around hers. So as you can see, there's a variety of colours, and the colours all reflect what was in the photo, and that's very important when you make a layout, that they harmonise together, especially if they're going to be a little bit busier at the bottom. I've chosen this Kaisercraft paper here for my base on which I'm going to build. So I'm going to take out the excess off this one because it's going to sit on top of a 1-inch frame using the chocolate brown as my outer frame and therefore the framing for my photos. So as you know by watching my videos, and I'm hoping you're doing that, that they are always backed by a frame. So using my double-sided tape, I'm loading up my piece of paper there, and as you can see I'm cutting it in half diagonally and then cutting it in half again so that I end up with 4 triangles of the same size each one. I went ahead and I did that with all of the papers so that I ended up with 4 triangles from each of the coloured papers. And what I'm doing now is I'm just layering them up along the base, and I'm building them, and I'm only using one side of the tape at the moment until I'm happy with the layout. This allows me to manipulate it. The point of using this background was a lot easier to layer out those triangles because I could use the design to guide where the triangle was going to go on the page to make it an even spacing around the edging. Now it gets tricky in these corners because you're tucking them in behind, and you need to expect that you're not going to see all of that first one on each of the corners because of the way the layout comes together. And I'm really mixing and matching my colours so that I'm going from lights to darks, pinks to greens, and the brown is there to show the contrast. And they overlap, and that's okay because that's what we want it to do, because we want it to look like a jigsaw puzzle gone together. And you can see that I've tried to balance the colours all the way across. Once I'm happy, I'm just taking off the backing of that double-sided tape that I had put on there because I don't want any sticky uppy bits. As I say to the kids in the classroom, no sticky uppy bits, make sure they're all down on that layout. So once they're all stuck down nice and flat, then we can start building the rest of the page. Now, we were in Airlie Beach for this photo. It was a nice day. We'd just come off the cruise. It was our first port on the cruise, and it was actually the first time my daughter had actually been anywhere up that way on the coast, so it was really nice. Now I'm cutting in a frame that I am going to put in behind, as you saw on the layout, and I have cut it down to 4.5 by 6, and then I remove the centre. The layout is, as I said, quite busy, and that's all the different colours and patterns, and that's okay, that's really nice. And so what I've done is I'm actually double mounting this with torn paper to give it a different edging to it and lift it off the layout. I'm also then adding in some extras of the triangles to lift that whole frame up, and you can see that it tucks in nicely into this frame on this page. So I'm going to put down the internal frame, and you can see it fits nicely into that gap after I play with it a little bit, and this is why I get frustrated with myself taking off all the tape in one go instead of doing one side and then the next so that it matches easily. I'm just going to tuck in 2 more triangles in behind the frame here, and I'm going to alternate them just to add a little extra layers behind that photo. and give it a little bit more contrast to the layout. And I really do love the colours in this paper. There are many different brands, many different stacks used in this one. There's not from one single brand or one single paper range. I've just gone through and selected colours that blended nicely together. Don't be afraid to mix and match your product. It's really, really okay as long as the colours blend and match nicely. So I have gone through and I've used the ephemera from that sheet that I told you I was going to use, and I've cut them up. And I've got a little bingo card and little postcards and little sayings. I've also gone through my scrap barrel of die cuts, which luckily I have a whole range sitting to the side where I overcut each time. And I just keep them because they come in handy when I do layouts, because they may be what I'm needing for the finished product. I took this title from a strip off a Kaisercraft paper. It says, "Enjoy the view and live the adventure," and that was perfect. It's hard to see in that photo, but behind us is actually the ocean leading into the sky, and the colours were so well matched that it is quite hard to see. Now you can see me fussing with this seagull, and I actually, in hindsight, should have probably left it down in that bottom corner because it looked pretty good down there. But I've taken it off because I wanted to leave some clear empty space in there so that the eye had a resting spot when it's going around the layout. I'm just drawing in a messy line. I'm not using a ruler, and I'm doing some faux stitching so that it looks like there's more to the layout than just flat pieces of paper. I have cut out some leaves from my favourite punch, and I'm just tucking them in behind the clusters there. Like I say, I like to bulk out my clusters, and these leaves are a great way of doing that. And I've done them in the dark chocolate brown to highlight the framing and to balance out all the pinks and the greens in the layout. Don't forget, when you're doing it, you need to put in where it happened and the year. That's really important. At least that's a bit of journaling. As this is going in my cruise album, I don't need to put too much more in the journaling because there will be pages that have lots of the journaling and the story behind. The Nouveau drops, as you know, I use in my clusters. I've done the 3 around the page so that the eye just roams, and I'm using this glossy accent here on the photo lens of the camera so that it gives it an effect that it's looking like a real camera. And there you can see how it's all come together with my layout blending in all of the die cuts and the ephemera and the little quaint sayings, and they all tie together nicely to this beachy, soft beachy themed layout. And I love that I was able to use so much of that 6x6. Here's the original by Kirsten, Scrapping on the Fly. All her details are down in the box below, along with all the people that are playing along today. This is how mine came out. As you can see, the clusters, the overlapping, there's so much interest in the page and the eye just roams. So even though it seems like a simple page, there's actually quite a lot of detail in this page, and it's actually beautiful. And I thank Kirsten for the inspiration to create this page. Remember, it's very important to like us. Let YouTube know that you like our content, that you want to see more of us. The full playlist is down below in my description box. Don't forget to leave some love, leave a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, everybody, I'm Kathy from Kathy Loves to Scrap, and I have an Instagram account where all my layouts end up, even those without videos. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Happy scrapping. Until next time.